Welcome to Talk with Tina Weezy. I'm Tina Weezy. Join me every Sunday for a new video post.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So I'm going to try and do this really as fast as possible today and try and upload it as quickly as I can for everyone. Today is going to be a little corner chat for my recap of my Walking Dead. The reason I'm trying to do this really fast is because my dog is freaking out. As you can hear, we just got back from a car ride. We went to get some ice creams and stuff, and he came with us, but he's mad because the hubby went back outside. He went to go get a jug, fill the water cooler jug. And my son went outside to go and play with his friends. I'm in here doing my quick recap of my Walking Dead. I got my notes here, so I'm going to try and follow along with my notes as best as possible so that we can stay on topic. All right, so we're already a minute into this video, and I haven't even touched the topic that we're going to talk about, and it is the Walking Dead's recap of the episode Diverged with Carol and Daryl. So what I wanted to touch base on is a little bit about Carol and Daryl's characters, as we've gotten to know them through The Walking Dead and through the years, I guess, and their friendship and everything. What we've found is Carol has been the mother of the group. She's always been the mother to a certain point. Obviously, when we first seen her and met her. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna try and ignore my dog. When we first meet her, she is in a, she's with Ed. What a wonderful husband he was. And she had her daughter Sophia. So obviously she was a mother. She was very protective of Sophia. As soon as she met Carl and then she was offering to help Carl. She was offering to feed him. She was offering to watch after him and everything. And so she was very motherly to him and to all the other children. But what I also found when she first appeared was she was a very weak person. I was going to say weak character, but that's completely not what it is. She was a weak person because she just took the abuse that she was given from Ed. She never ever stood up for herself. It took the group and it took Shane going crazy on it and, for her to start standing up for herself. It took the group to say, hey, you're worth something. And then, she never really fought for, like I said, she never really fought for herself. She would fight for her kids. She would fight for her friendship. She would fight for the group. And she would actually do, after losing Sophia, she would do everything and anything to sacrifice any kind of sacrifices that she felt, any decisions that she thought that were too hard for the group. She went and made those decisions upon herself. Like when everyone was getting sick at the prison, she started, as soon as she saw that who was getting sick and she realized that, they were dying off because of it, she went and started, isolating the sick and killing them off and getting rid of them to protect the rest of the group. She didn't want she didn't want everybody to get sick and die from this. Like I said, she's always trying to fix things. She's always, she when she feels beat down, she gets into this beat down mode and she's got to fix things. She's got to fix things like making cookies back in Alexandria. She was always becoming she's like a chameleon. She would always disguise herself and blend into her environment. She became, Molly Maid like Leave It to Beaver Mom when in Alexandria when she needed to be hidden. When the group first arrived at Alexandria, people were watching them. They wanted to know who they were. They wanted to know were they trustworthy, and get to know them. And Carol put on this, hi, I'm the mom of the group. I take care of everybody. I don't know how to handle a gun. Meanwhile, we just saw what she did at Terminus to save everybody. Like, she walked in there. She was Terminator. She was Rambo. She was the show. She saved everyone. So she went, and that was after, if you realize, that was after the prison where she was Rick took her off and banished her. He went and said, you can't be doing things like this. So, and her way to fix that was to go and save the group from the Terminus people. Like, she was like, forget you, man. I'm going in there. I'm taking my family. I'm getting my family. I'm saving them. I'm doing what I need to do. So she's always in that mode. And then when Daryl tells her that, in the last episode, Find Me, where he says to her, when she says to him, Connie, that's not on you. And he says, no, you're right. That's not on me. That's on you. Connie's on you. So, and she turns around and right away she says, well, I got to go fix the door to the cabin. So right away, she did something wrong. She's got to go fix it. She's got to go fix it. So when he said that, he even said to her, you're always running away. You can't face your problems. You can't face the truth. You can't face what you did. That's why you're out here with me instead of back at Alexandria. So all of a sudden at the beginning of the episode, they come to the proverbial, fork in the road. And she, at that decision, at that point, she makes the decision and chooses, I'm stumbling. She chooses to go back to Alexandria and fix everything that she's broken. And everything that led up to that. Now, everything that she did that led up to that point was everything that needed to be done. The cave needed to be, blowed up because what? Oh, that got rid of all the horde. Negan had to be let free so that he can go and infiltrate the Whisperers and get Alpha's trust, and so that he can take Alpha out. So everything that needed to be done, she did it. She sacrificed. She made that choice. She didn't wait for the group to say, okay, well, maybe we should send Negan in, or maybe we should do this. Like, she said, no, I'm doing this because you know what? She has been suffering from nothing but loss this whole series. She has been grieving this whole series. May it be for one thing or another. First, it was for, yes, he wasn't the best. He was abusive, but I'm sure there was one point where he was a great guy to her. So she lost that part of her husband. And then she lost her daughter. Then she loses her friends that have become a family over the time. So there was the loss of Lori. There was the loss of, Andrea. Like, they were all part of, like, and she'd even told Andrea, sleep with the governor and kill him in his sleep. So she was right away, do what you got to do to get it done type of person. And she's always trying to fix things to make things better. Just trying to go over my notes. Like I said, she does what it takes to protect her group. She's always taking it upon herself to make those decisions. And when she goes back to Alexandria and she meets up with Jerry, I love Jerry, love Jerry, love Jerry. I hope there's an episode where it's all dedicated to Jerry in the future, in the next season. Or if he can go on to the movies or the spin-offs, one of them, that would be amazing because he's a great character and an amazing actor who plays him. So I can't remember his full name, but I know his first name is Cooper. But yeah, when she gets back to the group, she's trying to, Jerry says, hey, long time no see. And she's like, yeah, what can I do to help? Or she says, I'm going to go do this to help here. And he's like, oh, they got it covered here. She's like, oh, I'm going to go do this. No, that's all covered. That's all done. So she has nothing to do. And she says, she's like, Jerry, please. She's begging him at this point, give me something to do. Give me something to fix. I have to fix this. And he's like, I'm a little hungry. And so she's like, okay, I can do that. I can make something. I can find something. And then she tells him the story of stone soup, about this man who has nothing for soup, but a couple of stones. And so he goes around the village and he asks, if anybody has anything, any little scraps or anything that they can contribute to make the stone soup. And at the end by the time he gets, a potato from here, a carrot from there, a couple of spices here, a piece of meat there. He ends up with this great, amazing soup at the end, and and it's a metaphor. Stone soup. You start with nothing. You ask for a little help. You help along the way, and you end up with a feast. It's actually a story that I heard when I was growing up in catechism in Sunday school. My mom was religious and she took us, and so it was just something that we had heard. I had heard growing up, so I kind of knew the meaning behind it in the first place. And Jerry kind of is like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like it's gonna be tasty at all." It's like, Jerry, that's not the point. um, but yeah, and throughout she's like trying to fix this soup, and it ends up she doesn't fix the soup. Like there's a rat in the wall, and she's just does everything to get rid of this rat, and it's just throughout the whole episode you realize that yes, these people alone are great people, but they also realize that they're struggling. They need to be together, that they're like more powerful together as a couple, even if it is not a couple as a relationship wise, but as a force. They're a duel to be reckoned with. Um, and it's so funny because when they get to this proverbial, like the actual fork in the road, um, Daryl's like, "Oh, you coming with, or I could give you a ride," and she's like, "No, I'm just gonna go." He's like, "Okay," so he goes one way, she goes her way, and Dog is standing there first, and he's like, and he goes off with Carol. And I think the reason that Dog goes off with Carol is I think that he feels her grief. Like she's grieving now, she's grieving the loss of Henry. She once she had that loss, she put it in a mission, that she had to get rid of Alpha. Alpha had to go. Alpha had to be taken out. And she went into this morph, into this get her done mode. And now that that's over, now it's time for her to think about what she's done and what had got her to where she got needed to be. And she's feeling guilt, she's feeling remorse, but she knows that she had to do what she needed to get done to get the group safe. And all she was thinking about was her family. She regrets the sacrifices along the way. She's feeling the loss of Connie as well because Daryl's her best friend. She's not sure what the kind of relationship her and Connie and Daryl were having, and I don't think Daryl even realized that kind of relationship, that what he was going through at that time either. Um, could it have been a romantic relationship further along? We don't know. We just found out about Leah that had happened over the last 5 years of this time jump. Um, or 5 or 7 years, whatever it was that the time jump was. So we're finding that there's a lot of secrets that Daryl now has. To protect himself and to go, and he's grieving as well. He's grieving the loss of Rick. Rick was his brother. Like after the loss of his real brother, who was, we know Merle was a jerk. Merle wasn't there for him and everything. And so we know that. So to have a friendship and a relationship the way he did with Rick, where Rick accepted him and was like, "You know what? I don't care what you've done in the past. The past is the past. You're my brother now. You're here. We're protecting each other. This is going forward. This is us," kind of thing. And so when he lost Rick, the fact that they never found a body, that there was no real complete closure, sent him off on a tangent, kind of sent him off on his own mission to either find a body or find him. Like, he could be out there somewhere. So he went off looking for Rick, and he finds Leah, and then he has this whole secret relationship that nobody knows about. And so we're learning things about Daryl as we come along the way, and we realize that both of them have this tendency that when the going gets tough, like really tough, they get going. Like they take off, they go off and run off away from the group. And so when Daryl had said to her, you don't even want to face your problems at Alexandria, he was also saying it the same thing to himself. He was saying it like, I don't want to face this. I don't want to face the fact that I made a choice. I chose my family. I chose this group over somebody I think I loved. And and I sacrificed her, and now that I've gone and I went to go back, she's gone. So now he's kicking himself for making that choice, making that sacrifice, and having that loss. So he's going over the loss and grieving over Rick. He's going over the loss of everything that happened, um, with Alexandria, with the home. He still feels that guilt, and even though he had that conversation with Maggie, and Maggie was like, "No, you did not do this to Glenn. It was not your fault. Glenn was not your fault. That was Negan, 100% Negan. It was not you." He still feels that guilt, that it was him, that it was because of him that Negan chose Glenn, and when it should have been, he felt it should have been him. So he's still going through a lot of stuff too. And like we said, they were friends because of the abuse and the connection that they had of being survivors. And so they are going to find their way back to each other. I know they are, because they have such a close relationship. They're beyond It's beyond a romantic relationship at this point. It's an unbreakable, unspeakable bond that's just, I don't think there's actually words for how close they are. Um, I'm just going to quickly glance at my notes, see if I got everything out that I wanted to get out. Um, like right now, they're frustrated with each other. They've been together for how many years? Like the apocalypse, the Walking Dead has been happening. Like Lori, it was before Lori was pregnant. So, and Judith is what, 10, 11, something around there now. So this has been going on for years, and they've had this friendship, and they're so close. And they're just at a point where they're fed up with each other. They're frustrated with each other, and he just wants to like shake the crap out of her and say, "Listen," And I'm sure she wants to do the same thing to him. Like, especially, we know Daryl. He's the type of person. He's just quiet. He's quiet. He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't say anything, and he's just, he's a silent type. And so the fact that when he starts opening up and he starts telling Carol about Leah and everything and how he's feeling, it it shows what a great relationship and close relationship the two of them have. So they have a lot to work out with each other. Like, yes, they're mad at each other, but the fact that they still went home to each other, like, it says it says mountains of things without even having to say anything. Because really, if he really wanted to, he could have just kept going. He could have just said, "Forget this," and left the group. But he can't, because that's his family. Judith is like a niece to him. Michonne is like his sister. Like, because Rick was his brother, so that's his family, that's his niece, it's his extended family. So he's not going to go, and he's not going to leave them behind. As mad as and frustrated as he is with Carol, he just needs vacation. He needs to stay away. But as we saw at the end of the episode, they were back home. He was back there, and he had even given Carol over the pocket knife, the Swiss Army knife that was originally Leah's. She'd given it to Daryl, and so the fact that he says to Carol, "Keep it," says a lot, but she doesn't realize that. But to us, we know it says huge words about, because he could have said, "Oh, thanks," and given her "Oh, I found this here, you can have this one instead." And he could have given her a pocket knife from one of the army dudes that he had found. Because he did find a couple of army dudes. He did get, a couple of their backpacks. We saw him with the MR ready to eat meals and stuff. So, and they're always better together. Like, it just showed, like, when they were off, like, she was off in Alexandria struggling with the stone soup and that rat in the wall. He was struggling with walkers and his bike breaking down, and finding that walker and trying, in the car. And it just shows that, yes, they're fantastic as alone, and that they can do so much alone, but it also shows that together they're like a two-headed monster that's gonna, if they if they have a mission, they're gonna get to it. It doesn't matter. They will do it. um and he's also dealing with the fact that he did choose the group over Leah, and that he regrets that, and then he realizes that he made the wrong choice, that he should have told her that I choose you, and then integrated her into the group or whatever, talked her into coming back with him. But he didn't do that, and so he's also regretting that, and that, when he went back and she was gone. So there's also theories too that people are saying that, oh, Leah never happened, and that she was just a figment of his imagination, and that was just something that he had to deal with over the time jump. So, but I don't think that. I think she was real. I think it really happened. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of people are complaining about these extended episodes, and they're not giving us much information. I think they're giving us a lot of information, a lot of background details, something that we never really thought about. And you guys also have to remember, this is during a pandemic. We're not able to do something, and they were showing that, a lot of the filming, they had social distancing. So they tried to have as least many people on the sites, or on sets, sorry, as possible. So for this episode, it was, the three of them mainly on set. You see a couple of walkers. You do see at one point where Jerry and Carol are first talking, and you see two people in the background. And they had said on the talking dead that it was actually just a couple of crew members. They just wanted to make it look like there were people there, because it was actually just the crew that were filming that day, and it was just Jerry and Carol, and then it was just Daryl. So a lot of the reasons why we're getting these is because they wanted to give us something during this time. They didn't want us to just be like, oh, twiddling our thumbs, just waiting for the next season. So I'm very thankful. Thank you very much to the cast, the crew, to everybody for doing this for us. I appreciate every single episode. I appreciate all the information, all the backstory, everything that we get. Tonight's episode, I am recording this Sunday morning, or Sunday afternoon, I should say. Tonight's episode is going to be about Negan and his backstory, how he came along. His real life wife, Hillary Burton. Morgan is actually going to be in there playing his wife, Lucille, who the famous bat is named after. So I'm really excited about that story, because throughout the whole series, once he was introduced, it was always thought of as, what if we'd followed his story this whole time instead of Rick and their group? What if we'd followed Negan and his story? Would we have thought of him as such a huge bad guy, or would we have looked at Rick and his group as the big bad guys who just came into his compound and started killing off these people and everything? And all of a sudden, that's how the wars and versus the saviors happened. And it's like, okay, so you got one kind of storyline, and it is true. Like, if you follow Rick's and his group, everything that they did for the group. But if you look at it as an outsiders and coming in, like, there's people that they've attacked for the reason of just, attacking them and stuff. And so, yes, we have to attack them and it's kill or be killed at this point, also in the apocalypse. But it's just an interesting concept of, would we have been so against Negan if we had followed his story? Would we be more for him or more for the group the way it is now? So I think coming from both ends, I think it's a great storyline. So, but that's just my opinion. All right, so I got all my points out. I got everything I wanted. Right in time before my dog started freaking out, because you can hear the hubby coming home. So thanks for hanging out. Check you later. Bye, guys.